Vacation for May 27th, 2026. Let's give everybody a chance to get the seats and stuff.
Yeah, now we can look at them.
Good. We're going to start off this evening, as we do, at the end of the year. Oftentimes we hear from sort of the cumulative programs that go on through the year. And tonight, starting off, we're going to hear from Austin Hills and Christina Gagliardi about the robotics team, what they've been up to all year, and actually where they're going this weekend. I just found out. So video to start on the screen here? Okay. Do we have sound on this? Uh-oh, okay.
We got it.
We're going to have one of the kids fix it.
All right, hold on. He's going to try something.
Which is basically a competition where high school students compete and build a robot and, compete for a spot in the world championship.
Okay, so this is our robot. This is Chonkabot. So we have this intake, and it gets powered at the beginning of every match, and is able to intake these balls through here, like that. And then we have a conveyor system running along here with belts, and they get transported into our launcher here, which has a curve. We curve the polycarbonate using spacers. Then we have tread here to increase friction so the balls go faster. And then we've got our electrical setup on either side. It's kind of unique because they're mounted to the walls. And then we've got 2 vision cameras. We also operate on a swerve drive, so it's omnidirectional. Instead of like back and forth, we can go in all directions.
I joined robotics when it was new because I've always been interested in engineering and building things, and I was really excited to have the opportunity to do that in high school.
I joined by accident. I offered to fix a 3D printer over there, which we don't really use anymore, but, and then Mr. Hills took me out of the hallway, and then I came in and he offered for me to join, and I said, sure. So it was completely by accident, but I'm really glad I did.
We've got our Milwaukee pack-out system, which is mainly where we store everything. If you want to take a look, they're all of our tools, tape measures, Allen keys. We've got a zip tie cabinet, which is pretty important. All of our screws are in here. And then this is our battery charging station.
This is important because often girls aren't provided the kind of pathway or accessible entry point into STEM, and so it's really important to provide that kind of at all their developmental stages. So ideally it's present in the elementary school and middle and high school, and we're actively working specifically in our team to involve more girls.
That's the BAM cell, which is like what we used to call in the middle. And then you go to your left there, that's a small project we're currently working on. So that's in the early stages, looking to improve our workspace on the actual classroom space there, because it's kind of disorganized, so we're going to work on that. And then we're just doing competitive next year. Storage unit that we use for bigger tools and clamps and things like that. And this year we went to 2 competitions, and we made playoffs at both of those competitions. And our last competition, we were actually selected to be on as captain, meaning that we were ranked number 1 out of 2 other teams that we picked.
You often get these little pins, each team has their own little pin.
We've got pin banners from, these are all different and so collectively from both events we went to this year. This is our EPA over time. It's estimated points per minute. And this is our EPA last year. So you can see like this is approximately the amount of points we were adding per game last year. And it's relatively short and kind of plateaus. And then using the blue line stops for the light line. And that's because we didn't get to playoffs. So then this is continued sort of our first competition. So even at competition you can see we're improving and we learn more about it.
So the Hastings robotics team is really just like a group of people who come together to build a robot. But honestly, it's a lot more than that. Like, you come and you learn about like how to use all these tools and how like the fundamentals of electricity work.
Robotics is fun.
You don't really need any experience to join the team. It's just, it's fun.
Everyone who's on this team loves it. That's all I can really say.
That's wonderful. Welcome. If you can take the mic out, yeah, and hold it kind of close. Otherwise, nobody at home will hear anything. Yeah. Oh, is it on or?
It's not on. Hold on.
Hello, my name's Aiden Maloney, and I'm a graduating senior, and along with Ella Kajiga, this year's co-president of the Bionic Buzzers. I'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to talk about our school's robotics team. So FIRST Robotics is the most complex and competitive program offered by FIRST, which is an international organization that promotes STEM through hands-on activities. In FIRST Robotics, high school students utilize mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and computer science skills to build industrial-sized robots that compete with the goal of qualifying for the global competition in Houston, Texas. So our schedule throughout the year starts with the off-season. And during the off-season, we meet twice a week to learn crucial skills that will help us during the build season. During the build season, we meet 5 days a week for 8 weeks straight, sometimes until 6 p.m., and come in during winter breaks to prepare for the competition. I'll now talk a bit about how the actual competition works. So despite the fact that we are competing in regional events, there are teams from several countries competing with us, including but not limited to Turkey, Brazil, Taiwan, and India. Each match, random groups of 3 teams called alliances compete against each other, and the top 8 teams called captains get to choose 2 other teams to compete with in a final double elimination tournament to decide who is the winner of the entire competition. So last year, we weren't even selected to compete in the playoffs, and at our first event this year, we played in the first ever all-playoff alliance that was composed entirely of teams from the Hudson Valley and placed 3rd, getting eliminated, unfortunately, in the semifinals. At our second event, we captained the lowest ranked alliance and beat one that was placed higher than us, which is a feat that is quite rare in FIRST Robotics. Overall, we went from being ranked 2,362nd in the world to 994th. With that, I would like to hand things off to my co-president, Ella.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey.
Thank you, Aiden. Hi, I'm Ella Kajigo, a current junior, and I'll continue as co-president next year. So this past season, our team underwent massive changes that resulted in significant improvement both on and off the field. I'd like to take the opportunity to highlight a couple of them now. So firstly, in order to improve our professionalism and efficiency, we upgraded our pit layout by investing in better storage, a proper workbench, and student design uniforms. As our team grew due to a massive influx of underclassmen, we restructured our leadership team by adding a head of business, increasing accountability, and improving overall communication. As our team continues to grow in size, we will add new leadership positions as we see fit. We also demonstrated team resilience by taking on our challenges and turning them into success. Looking into the future, we hope to become more competitive both technically and through community involvement, hence the creation of 2 outreach positions. We are extremely proud of our progress, but most importantly, our team is determined to continue growing exponentially, both competitively and as a community, and are looking forward to what we can accomplish next season. Thank you to the board for the opportunity to speak, and over to my awesome co-pres for next year, Elliot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Elliot Zucker, and I'm a current sophomore, and I'll be one of the co-presidents for our team next year. This weekend, we're going to Worcester Polytechnic Institute to compete in the unofficial off-season called Battle Cry. It'll be the same game as this year's official FRC game, with some minor rule and playoff changes. Next season, we will hopefully go to 2 official first events and at least 1 off-season event. A large goal of ours is to advance from those events to Worlds, the global competition Aiden mentioned, which we got quite close to attending this year. To help support goals like this, we now have an outreach team. In only a couple of weeks, they created the video we watched earlier and helped put on a team demonstration at an 8th grade assembly. Next year, they will continue to lead our fundraising and our recruitment of new members to the team. This year, everyone on the Bionic Buzzers worked incredibly hard. Our meetings are a fun, collaborative, high-energy environment with everyone contributing to our robot. This team is something that we're all deeply passionate about, and we are very proud to share with you what we have been able to accomplish and our hopes for the future. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with the board, and I'll turn over the floor to Jacob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Hello, I'm Jacob Klugerman, and I'm a graduating senior. I was the team's business and financial head this year and oversaw our financial activities throughout the 2025 to 2026 season. This included securing funding, monitoring expenses, and building a system to reliably keep team members updated on our team's financial capabilities. The two co-presidents and I spent the summer and preseason applying for over 15 grants for the 2026 First Robotics Competition. We heard back from several of them, and among our current sponsors are several interesting groups, including NASA, the Gene Haas Foundation, the Argosy Foundation, Goldman Sachs, and the PTSA. Earlier this year, Aiden and I also went into town to ask several local businesses if they'd be interested in supporting our team. And we were able to get sponsored by Hudson Valley Numismatics, run by Hastings High School's very own Mark Rosner, who some of you may remember taught chemistry before retiring in 2024. We are incredibly thankful for all the support we've received from the previously mentioned sponsors and other individual donors, as they make everything we do as a team possible. And with that, I would like to turn the floor over to our team's electrical head, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob. I'm Alex. So when the Bionic Buzzers was first established, a mentor from the Austin Obots, a veteran team, reached out to offer us help. Since then, they've been endlessly helpful to us. For example, they let us use their CNC machine this year. For the past 2 years, they provided us with invaluable programming, mechanical, and electrical help. This year, we got to pass on the help that they gave us to a new rookie team, the Terry Bots at the Hudson Valley Regionals. FRC is filled with teams like Hastings because while FRC is a competition, it's also a community. Teams readily lend support to others at competition. At Gotham, for example, a programmer we had never met before came over to help out our programming team because he saw that we were working on Limelight. Of course, the support that characterizes the FIRST community goes beyond just inter-team relationships. Outreach and community impact is the foundation that FIRST is built on, and FIRST encourages teams to organize outreach events and programs through awards and generally through the culture of FRC, where community service is normal and expected. Our own team does outreach, and we look forward to continuing to help both our local and our FIRST communities. And now we get to do a demonstration? All right, and this is...
Thank you.
If you guys just give us a minute, we, in the haste of packing, accidentally packed a controller, but we got one. So if you could spare us a minute or two just to connect the robot, we'll show you a cool demonstration. And on behalf of Ms. Gagliardi and myself, thank you guys for everything that you do to support us as a team.
Thank you.
Sorry, you said the robot had a name?
It does.
It does.
This year it's called Chonkabot because it's a little chonky. It's a big square.
That's adorbs.
Thank you.
Can I ask him a question?
Next year.
Wasn't there like
Siri.
like a tryout today or something? Wasn't it supposed to be like a dry run? Or did I read that incorrect? Or maybe the name.
This is a backup plan.
There we go.
It's not usually on a leash.
Maybe it should be. Catch.
You want to give it a good spin?
Right on.
You want to get it back up and get it one good one?
Do the New York Knicks know about this?
Yeah, seriously.
It's also a lot faster if anyone remembers.
No, I was going to say it's much quicker
Yeah.
in
Much
the yeah.
smoother.
Despite its size, it's much quicker.
It also drives in every direction, which our robot didn't do last year.
It's remarkable. And you're heading to Worcester this weekend?
We're going to WPI this weekend for what's considered an off-season event.
All right.
48 teams, and the kids get to stay on the college campus, so it should be a good time.
That's exciting. Any questions or comments from trustees? Can I just say, whoever did the video, the team was really well done. Like really good PO. No, honestly, like very good POV camera work and like looking and very well done. Any questions?
I had a couple of questions. First, who designed that great logo? I really like the riff on the logo. I'd love to know more about that. And then question number 2 is, I know I'm not a member of the robotics team, but where do we get some swag around here? I'll gladly pay. I don't know if there's a fundraiser.
Okay.
I'll wear it all.
So the logos on our shirts were designed by a student, a sophomore. Her name's Ariella. She's awesome. And I think next year we're gonna expand merch to other people. So we will send out links.
Yeah, remember this guy. He likes swag.
Yeah.
He likes swag. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And honestly, also just the vibe of that is like this, we're putting a team together vibe. It's very infectious. So thank you all and have a successful weekend ahead. Hope you enjoy.
One last thing. I know I send the email super late always. It's like, hey, we're going to a competition this weekend. I'll be better next year and send it in advance. It is truly, I mean, seeing this is cool and all. Seeing an event is nothing like you've ever seen before. So I hope that in the future you guys
That's awesome. Thank you. I do have a question. Could you talk a little bit more about your engagement with the middle school? Because I know some middle schoolers that would think this was wild.
Okay, so our first interaction with the middle school was we went to the freshman orientation last week or 2 weeks ago, and we drove the bot. And my favorite part was when we drove the robot down to the auditorium, they all almost stood up to see it, which was awesome. And then all of the questions we got were, can anyone join? Is there a maximum amount of people who can join? And that was awesome to just see interest. And so we're definitely going to expand and try to, interact with the middle school a little more.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is great.
Hey, there's something called First Tech Challenge too with First Robotics, and it's like a smaller scale version of what we do. And in the future, that's something else we would like to expand on and have a team with that with the school too.
Awesome.
It's wonderful.
I love that you have a center of operations person and an outreach person. Like you guys you're really creating the structure around major expansion. So good luck. I hope you do well.
Yeah, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Austin and Christine, robotic team, you've got 2 faculty advisors. Can someone tell us what they do for you? I understand they're pretty important. Who wants to step up? Jacob, you want to step up and talk about these 2, or I'll do it? And I'm not, want to talk? Yeah. Why do your faculty advisors matter?
We wouldn't have been able to even get off the ground without our faculty advisors. They do a lot. They do everything from ordering the materials we need and finding the optimal designs for our robot for a given competition, to organizing transportation to the event, to leading the construction of the bot, and helping us figure out how to manage the team. Like, I think this year Mr. Hills was crucial in helping us organize the different sub-teams to figure out how to actually assemble our bot. And with his help, we were able to construct our design in like a week. So it was pretty crazy. And I think without the faculty advisors, we would be running around like a chicken without a head, basically. Like, they really do a lot.
It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you again. Good luck. Moving on to Melissa Chandroff in a presentation from the Science Research Program. Oh, and Ms. Barenfeld as well. Faye Barenfeld. Hello. Welcome. Oh, is there... Hey, good evening.
Good evening. So I'm Melissa Chandra.
I'm Faye Barenfeld.
And we are running the Science Research Program here at Hastings High School. So this is our first year of our transition to a 3-year program. So we now work with SUNY Albany, and our students can get credit for their course. As of right now, next year we have approximately 100 students registered to take the course between sophomores, juniors, and seniors. So we're really excited about that. Our seniors this year were able to apply for SUNY credit for the school year, so they can get up to 4 credits through SUNY Albany, which is great. And next year, our sophomores and juniors will be able to apply actually for 2 credits this summer and then 4 credits next year. So they can get a total of 6 college credits by the end of next year. So. Awesome.
Our students have been competing in a variety of local and regional competitions. So we had the River Towns Senior Science Showcase that we hosted at Hastings High School, along with Dobbs Ferry and Ardsley. It was an incredible turnout. We had the Regeneron Westchester Science and Engineering Fair with over 800 projects, with numerous winners. You can see at the bottom, a majority of our students took home an award. And we had the U Albany Symposium, took a few students up to the Albany campus, stayed overnight, and got to compete kind of regionally, with one of our students taking home an award there. We had many students attending professional conferences this year. So Aidan Maloney, Jude El Yaman, David Sukenik, and Eden Goldman-Mutzler all presented alongside professional scientists. We want to thank the Hastings Education Foundation. We recently found out that we received the grant to purchase a brand new printer for our posters, so we'll be able to print professionally some new styles of posters, drop-down ones that we've seen at competitions that are much easier to carry, more manageable. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we also want to thank you all for your endless support for this program. So thanking the Board of Education, Central Admin, and High School Administration, who has just been endlessly supportive of us and our students in this program, and allowed us to partner with U Albany and make it a 3-year program. It's been incredible. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Big announcement.
Big announcement.
So just next Wednesday, June 3rd at 6:30 p.m., we have our Science Research Symposium that we have every year. This year we're going to start in the cafeteria, and our sophomores and juniors are going to present their posters. Then we'll move into the auditorium, and our seniors are going to present very short 2 to 2-minute presentations, which you're going to hear 4 of them tonight. Just quick taste of what's to come. We have a keynote speaker coming as well. One of our parents, who's a researcher, is going to be presenting as well. So.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
So we're going to turn it over to our students and have them present. We thought you'd be especially interested in this particular presentation.
Welcome.
What a great topic.
Hello, my name is Harley Griffin, and this is my project on utilizing game theory to represent and optimize school bond votes. And
Just raise the mic a little
here?
higher. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So should I just restart or are we good?
Yeah, restart.
Okay. Hi, my name is Harley Griffin, and this is my project on utilizing game theory to represent and optimize school bond votes. And my mentor for this work was former student Elliot Reyes-Montramonte. So a little bit of background, although I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. School bond votes are a critical axis for improving school districts, and they work by state governments giving stipends to local school districts, and then with the boards of education using this money as well as taxes imposed on homeowners in order to put out a bond proposition that taxpayers will then vote on to see which items they want to pass and which items they don't want to pass. And this can lead to tensions between the taxpayers and the board, because the taxpayers are going to want to keep their taxes low, and the board is going to get the most. The board is going to want to get the most out of each bond proposition that they like the most that they can. And so in here we can use game theory to represent the ensuing interactions between the boards and the taxpayers. And game theory is just quantified as the study of decision making. So we can use the game theory model to model interactions between the boards and the voters, as well as how voters will react to what the boards do over time. So my gap was that there's a lack of literature that addresses the optimization of school bond votes, and this is an unexplored area with clear applications for game theory. And my goals were to determine the optimal strategies for boards and bond propositions, to simulate voter reaction to board strategies over time, as well as to create an abstract model that would simulate voting-based scenarios. So for my methods, I created a model that I ran 500 times, 200 iterations or years per run. And so at the beginning of the model, there were 500 voters, and I split them into two groups, one which is a cumulative-based group and one which is a sequential voting-based group. Basically meant to simulate voters who trusted the board more versus voters who didn't trust the board more. And at the beginning, we set up with 250 cumulative and 250 sequential. That part gets a little bit difficult. So then after that, after you split the voters, we generated 10 items for each year for the bond propositions, basically meant to represent anything from big items like turf fields to smaller items like new trash cans or new furnaces, to try to encompass everything that might appear in a bond proposition. So cost values were also assigned to each of these 10 items. After the cost values were generated, we generated board and voter utilities to try and represent how much the board would get out of each item versus how much a voter would get out of each item. After that, voter polling would occur, which basically means that the board was then given 10 random voters' opinions on each of the 10 items. And then from that, we were able to extrapolate a probability of passing, which basically meant how likely was any given item to pass, like based off of what the 10 voters said. So after that occurred, each of 3 board strategies were run. The results from each year were then stored, and the proportions of votes cumulative to sequential voters were updated to try and simulate those trust-based mechanics. So the first board strategy was a naive strategy, ordering items solely based off of the board utility cost ratio. The second strategy was a max prob strategy, ordering by items based off of the probability of passing from the voter polling. And the final strategy was the greedy strategy, ordering items based off of both the board utility values as well as the probability of passing from the polling. So for my results, for the graph on the left, it shows that the strategies that used polling, which is the greedy and the max prob strategies, were performing the best in all metrics. And specifically, since the greedy outperformed the max prob strategy in mean voter and board util, we can say that it is better to incorporate both board and voter opinion when actually developing your bond propositions. So this would suggest that this kind of greedier ideology in which you are incorporating both your own opinion as well as voters' opinions when creating a bond proposition is better at getting the most out of each single bond vote. So the graph on the right is a graph of the evolution of the proportion of cumulative sequential voters over time. And this is one single iteration where we can see that the proportions enters this kind of negative feedback loop, where each of the different colors of the lines in the graph represents a different strategy, and they all kind of hover around the 50-50 mark of cumulative sequential voters. And since voter utility was random, for each of the 500 runs of this model, this graph looked similar, but a little bit different. So when you average them all together, you're just going to get a bunch of like 50-50 splits, which basically meant that voter reaction to what the board was doing didn't like king make any given strategy, so it didn't have a big impact on whether or not greedy outperformed max prob or max prob outperformed naive. So in conclusion, we can say that the boards can use this result to help inform how they approach bond propositions. So maybe incorporating some kind of truly random voter polling or other similar ideas. But you can also apply the study to scenarios other than bond votes. My personal favorite is lawmakers in Congress. Basically you have one, and this is representing this, which is a model that can be used as a baseline for studies where you have one group trying to appeal to a larger group of voters. So if I'm a group of people in Congress who want to get a bill passed, I have a larger group of people who all have different and varying opinions on the matter. And if I'm going to negotiate them, if I'm going to negotiate with them, there's going to be some things that I want to take away and some things that I want to give to try and get my bill passed. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Harley. Can I ask you, Was it our bond vote last year that was the genesis of this idea, or?
Yeah, so it was around the end of my junior year that I was like getting interested in game theory, and I was trying to figure out how I could apply it to what was going on, and I saw all the bond posters around, and I was like, oh, this seems like a cool thing to try
That's
and
very cool.
incorporate.
Lovely. Questions or comments?
Harley, this is fantastic. I'd love to see the data. I think the story you told is fantastic. I'd love to better understand the data behind it, if that's something you're willing to share.
So for my data, I kind of created a model. Like I created a model on my own, and I didn't use real world data to inform my model. It was more so kind of this abstract application of ideas. But I could definitely share all the like specific numbers and all the nitty gritties of what I got if you need that.
You can email the board.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
I have a question. Do you have any suggestions for us for our next bond vote?
I'm not entirely.
Check with him. Next time.
I'm not the most familiar with how you guys actually go about putting your bond propositions together, so I don't know that I have any like specific recommendations, but I think that looking at trying to think in the similar ways, this might not account for all of the different factors that you guys know about. I'm not as familiar with the actual bond proposition setting, so I don't know exactly what I'm doing. But if you like taking some of the ideas from this and then seeing how you can actually incorporate them into what you guys do, I think could end up being helpful.
Like that random voter polling, right? We
Yeah.
could do that early on as we're coming up with our different ideas and propositions.
Yeah, to get a feel. That's true.
But the idea behind the random voter polling is instead of like going on and it's like try to eliminate biases.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
I might add, I think what you've come up with is incredibly powerful, because in the sense, if I understood it, the greedy wins, but that's that sense of how do you blend and come together and connect, right? So it's that sense of where do you find that shared sense of interest, the cooperation, and the board works hard to listen and get there. So you're confirming through your game theory that that's where we should be. So I think it's a great example. The great theory is actual matches practice, and that's what you're doing. So spot on, well done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Who's next? Welcome.
Hello. My name is Rian Kazmarzik. I'm a graduating senior in Ms. Chandroff in this Barenfeld science research class. And my research is on predicting bilayer modifying potency using a random forest model. And I did this research along with a fellow student, Henry Sliker. And so, yeah, that's what I'll present. So for a brief introduction, the cell membrane is composed of a phospholipid bilayer and membrane proteins. And what our research looked at is something called bilayer modifying potency, or BMP, which is the extent to which drugs modify the cell membrane. So what I mean by that is, this is an example, unmodified cell membrane. And what small drugs can do is they can sit within that membrane, and that changes how these proteins form within the membrane, which affects a lot of things within the cell and is often dangerous. So the materials and methods we used were, first we had 3 data sets, and we took 173 parameters from these data sets. So those were things like molecular weight, or the hydrophobicity of a molecule, or how many hydrogen bond donors it had. And how we did that was mainly using something called these SMILES, which are these text-based representations of the molecules. And so what you can see here is each part of this string of text corresponds to some part of this molecule. So we used a program called SwissAdMe to generate all of the descriptors for it, and then we created the actual random forest. So how that worked is we took the entire data set, split it up into hundreds of something called decision trees, hence the name forest, and each decision tree used one of these 173 parameters to make a decision. For example, if all the drugs that had a high bilayer modifying potency, which really changed the cell membrane, had a molecular weight greater than 10, they were very heavy, it would make a split at molecular weight 10 and move all of the drugs with high bilayer modifying potency to the right side and all the drugs with low bilayer modifying potency to the left side. And then once a new drug is introduced to make a prediction, the model would just traverse that tree, and that's how it would get its prediction. We coded this in Visual Studio Code and used Python and Excel for the data analysis. For our results, we first found that our model was moderately accurate in predicting bilayer modifying potency. we had fairly high precision and recall and F measure, the highest with the data set we actually worked on over the summer, and the other two data sets had slightly lower accuracy. We also found which parameters were the most important in predicting the bilayer modifying potency, and that's the graph on the top right. So first, hydrophobicity was the most important, followed by molecular weight, how heavy the molecule was, and then the aromatic rings of the molecule. And finally, we found values for essentially where the parameters go from predicting high BMP to predicting low bilayer modifying potency. And so what that means is we can now somewhat say if a molecule has above 400 molecular weight, it's probably going to be high bilayer modifying potency, have a high bilayer modifying potency, and it's probably going to be dangerous, which is pretty interesting. So our data could hopefully provide guidelines to drug designers to what to focus on first to get their drug on the market as fast as possible. And we could also potentially incorporate these predictions into something called structure-based drug design, which is the most common drug design technique, which is able to predict the effects of the drugs beyond cytotoxicity before any lab testing is done. And so overall, this research could hopefully expedite drug design by letting drug designers predict the effects of drugs before any lab testing and just make it easier. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Can I just say, I forget what it was last year, there was a presentation related to drugs. Like all of us middle-aged folk are counting on you guys, so it's very heartening the complexity of what you're dealing with here. So, thank you.
Could you talk a little bit about how you and Henry did the experiments and where you, and how you learned how to do all this? Because this is a tremendous amount of information.
Sure. So after our freshman year and sophomore year, the summer after freshman and sophomore year, we actually were in the lab doing experiments, and a lot of those experiments we used the data from to do this. And so those experiments just found the bilayer modifying potency of cells using a certain and spectrofluorescence assay. But then, so this, we actually coded the model. And so me and Henry, I don't know, just we looked at the scikit-learn documentation and figured out how to make a random forest model. And using all that data that we had collected in the previous 2 summers, we were able to see if it could make good predictions, and that's how we collected our data.
Wow, thank you.
It's wonderful.
Impressive.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
I mean, but seriously, I don't know if anybody else has seen this. I like chipped my tooth, and there was this thing online that this Japanese scientist had this things where they could cause your teeth to rebud and like grow a third tooth. And then, you know, I often talk about I need reading glasses, and apparently now there's like an eye drop you can take and you don't need glasses. So I'm very heartened. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Keep working on it. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Kate Sobel, and my research focused on analyzing the performance of a novel frailty score in elderly patients with classical Hodgkin lymphoma. So for a bit of background, Hodgkin lymphoma is a cancer of the lymphatic system, and it's characterized by Reed-Sternberg cells. And there are 2 major immunotherapies used to target this disease. So brentuximab vedotin, or BV, and that's an antibody drug conjugate, and then nivolumab, or Nivo, and that's an immune checkpoint inhibitor. And recently, there has been a novel frailty score developed to assess an elderly patient's fitness to receive particular treatments. And so the problem I identified was that the regimens developed for younger patients often fail to adequately take into account the frailty and the comorbidities that elderly patients may face. And the prognostic value of the novel frailty score has yet to be determined in real world cohorts of elderly patients. So the goal of my research was to analyze existing Nivo and BV-based cohorts of elderly patients, so patients who actually received these treatments, and to ultimately determine whether or not the frailty score was prognostic of how a patient responded to treatment. For my methods, I first started with data collection, and I was given access to the EPIC Hyperspace database system through my institution. And so within that, I reviewed patient charts of 79 patients. And I was looking for 4 factors when I was reviewing these patient charts. So that's ECOG status, which is Eastern Cooperative Oncology Group performance status, EBV status, which is Epstein-Barr virus, and that's a virus associated with mononucleosis, which is associated with Hodgkin lymphoma, and then comorbidities and vital status. And so once collecting this data, I could then develop the frailty index for each of the patients. So that was based on 3 criteria. So you would get a point if you had an age greater than or equal to 70, ECOG performance status greater than or equal to 2, and a comorbidity index greater than or equal to 3. And after developing the frailty index for all of the patients, I then did my statistical analysis. So I performed progression-free survival and then overall survival analyses, and I used the GraphPad Prism software. And then for the actual statistical analysis that I used the Kaplan-Meier method and then the Mantel-Cox log rank test, and that was for all the different factors that I stratified. For my results, I'm going to show you some of the significant data first. So there was a significant difference for overall survival by frailty between the unfit and the unfit and fit patients. So essentially, unfit patients had a worse survival overall than the fit patients did. There was also a significant difference for progression-free survival for unfit patients by treatment, so between BV and Nivo. However, there was no significant difference between progression-free survival and overall survival for fit patients by treatment. And so essentially these graphs show that Nivo-based therapy may represent a safer frontline therapy for unfit individuals and proves the efficacy of a PD-1 checkpoint inhibitor as opposed to the antibody drug conjugate. And then the insignificance is actually interesting to consider because it suggests that both BV and Nivo-based regimens may be fit for fit individuals as opposed to one or the other. And finally, this frailty score could ultimately serve as a prognostic tool to support more personalized treatment in a vulnerable population of elderly patients. And this is the frailty score that I based my research on. Thank you.
Questions, comments?
I can't help myself. This is such an interesting study. When you think about next steps, like this, the frailty score as a prognostic tool seems really powerful. Like, are you thinking of next steps with this as you go to college and beyond, or?
Yes, definitely. So right now I'm actually still working with my mentor, and there's like an international conference on Hodgkin lymphoma in Cologne, Germany. So right now we're submitting my abstract to that conference. And then in terms of future research and things that I want to keep looking into is definitely adding like an immune system assessment to the frailty score, because that was, especially when using immunotherapies, I think that's particularly important because a lot of elderly patients are also going through immunosenescence, so that's like the aging of the immune system, and so they might not have the same immune cells or not have the same markers or proteins. And so I think it's important to sort of get an assessment of an individual's immune system within the actual frailty score that we're using. So that's future research that I was interested in for sure, doing my research.
Wonderful. Anyone else? Teresa?
What institution are you working through?
I worked with Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center.
And would you like to be a doctor?
Yes, that's my goal. I was interested in oncology, yes, so that's where I'm hoping to go in the medical direction, for sure.
Wow, that's wonderful. Awesome. Yeah.
Thank
Kate,
you.
Thank you
so much.
Very much. Welcome.
Hi.
Hey.
So my name is Emmy Taylor, and today I'll be presenting my project on utilizing gene expression databases and analysis techniques to develop potential treatments for Alzheimer's disease. So for a bit of background on my project, there are currently no Alzheimer's disease treatments that effectively combat the condition due to the fact that many treatments right now prioritize temporary relief over long-term benefits, and this is simply because there hasn't been enough studies done really to discover these drugs that produce permanent relief. And these studies consume an immense amount of time, money, and resources. And the drug discovery process itself is just extremely, extremely challenging. And with the amount of people that have Alzheimer's disease and the urgent need to develop treatments, it's not realistic to undergo this entire process to develop these drugs with such little success rate. So essentially the goal of my study was to take a computational approach to identifying compounds that would reverse Alzheimer's disease gene expression using bioinformatic tools such as Connectivity Map and Playbook Workflow Builder, or CMAP and PWB. And this would essentially expedite the drug discovery process whilst hopefully providing similar or more successful results to a wet lab approach. So for my methods, I first began with data collection using the GEO database and conducting literature searches. And the GEO database is simply a vast database of RNA sequencing data. And I collected data from this database, which was either upregulated or downregulated Alzheimer's disease genes. And I collected the same data from my literature searches, but I just used the literature searches to kind of narrow down my selection. I then shifted to my bioinformatic tools, which were CMAP and PWB, and I essentially used these tools to come up with compounds that would reverse the gene expression that I had found in the GEO database and my literature searches, in hopes that the compounds identified would reverse Alzheimer's disease gene expression and essentially reverse the condition or stop it before it onsets. And then for my data analysis, I performed it in R, which is just a statistical analysis software, which I was able to compute odds ratios and Fisher's exact test p-values, which are just both measures of basically the potential of a drug I had identified. And so for my results here, I have two of the tables that I developed. So on the left, I have my table of all my perturbations, which are essentially just the compounds that showed more potential than others for Alzheimer's disease treatment, with the top 6 being the most significant, or the bottom 6 according to the table. And these are olanzapine, tentutinib, clobetasol, ortman, invernistat, and ponatinib. And so these 6 compounds essentially show immense promise to treat Alzheimer's disease based on their ability to reverse gene expression. And my table on the right shows that within my Alzheimer's disease gene set, which I had constructed, microglial cells were the most overrepresented cell type, which essentially gave me immense confidence in my Alzheimer's disease gene set due to the fact that microglial cells and microglial cell activity is one of the primary known causes of Alzheimer's disease. So when I saw that microglial cells had an immense influence on my Alzheimer's disease gene set, that gave me confidence that I was working with a biologically accurate set. And so for my discussion and conclusion, I essentially, as I said, found 6 compounds computationally that would potentially treat Alzheimer's disease. And so my study supports the efficiency of a bioinformatic approach to drug discovery due to the fact that it meets the urgent need to develop treatments and subverts the kind of task of finding the funding and taking the time to develop these drugs that is traditionally taken. And all of these compounds that I identified have the substantial potential to reverse Alzheimer's disease-related gene dysregulation, and in the future I'd like to actually test them in a lab setting to see if that would be true. Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Anyone?
So I know you're high energy. You must hit some points in this when you thought, egads, how do I get this to work and keep it going? How'd you keep your energy going?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely during the, I don't like to be inside a lot, or sitting still a lot, and my entire project was computational based, so that was definitely a challenge I ran into, spending so much time on the computer over the summer. But I mean, Ms. Chandroff and Ms. B are just the biggest support tools, seriously, and my mentor too. Whenever I had any questions, I'd reach out to one of the 3 of them, and that would just kind of give me the motivation to keep going, because I knew that my project would end up at somewhere where I wanted it to be eventually, and it was just a matter of getting there. And it can be challenging, obviously, over the summer to stay productive, but it was really worth it in the end because it was such a valuable experience.
Great, thank you.
Wow, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, special thanks to Ms. Sandra, Ms. Barenfeld, and all the students, and make light of it, but truly we're all rooting for you. So thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, great work.
So Emma, do you want to come back to the mic? I'm going to ask you the same question I asked. One of the science researchers, I want you to tell me how important your faculty are to you. Because those are 4 incredibly very different topics. So how do they guide you with such variability to a point? It's so rare in high school to see what we've seen. Talk to me.
Full disclosure, I don't know. They are incredible, and the amount of work that Ms. B and Ms. Chandroff do for all of us is insane. The amount of time they put into the program is like ridiculous, and I don't understand how they do it and how they wrap their heads around all of these projects, because I can barely wrap my head around mine, and then I hear my 3 other classmates and I have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, it's really amazing, and like they truly dedicate so much time and energy to the program. I mean, Miss B is obviously new, and like even coming into the program this year, she's been such a huge help to all of us. And Miss Chandroff is just like, she's the most reliable person. She's always there for all of us. She has been there for all of us, and she's like, she has obviously, I'm sure you guys know, put so much into this program. And yeah, without them, we would like kind of similar to what Jacob said about Miss Hurls and Miss G, like we would be nowhere without them. The program, it comes from, even though we do the projects, the program would not exist without them, and our projects would not exist without them and their support.
Well done. Well said, yeah. Thank you all. Thank you.
I just want to say something to the teachers, to Ms. Chandroff, and I remember thinking back, and we were talking when you were Miss Webster, so we go back a long way, but I want to say that I remember when you first started doing the science research program, and there were just a few students, and it is just so moving and remarkable. This is remarkable to see what you've created, to see the picture with everybody and to see what students are doing. I mean, it's phenomenal. And just for both of you, thank you so much. What a brilliant thing to have this in our district. It's incredible amount of work.
Thank you.
I wanted to just say that I feel like maybe we can bring these presentations to the village because there's so many community members who would love to hear about all of these projects. Parents and...
Yeah, that event in the, that's, what day is that going to be? Next Wednesday. Wednesday, June 3rd.
So maybe we should have it go out to the village.
Yeah, we can push it out. We can promote it.
I think, I think so many people would love to learn about this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all again. Thank you. Moving on, student reports. Joaquin or Ella, who's going to go first?
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
It's good to be back. The last time we all spoke, Ella and I spoke here is in the middle of AP week.
Keep going. Sorry. Sorry, Joaquin.
No, it's all good. We were in the middle of AP week, and one thing that I heard from my teachers was like they felt this year was crazy. Like they had never seen so many students out of class to take AP exams. It was stressful, but we made it through. And you know, we're almost at the end of the year, so we're all really grateful for that. We also spoke a little bit about student perspectives on turf. So I remember last time I said, you know, we can talk with student union and ask them what are students feeling about, you know, how are they feeling about what's going on at the board meetings. And we did we have our interviews for the new liaison position, and we spoke with the representatives there, and they said that yes, there are a lot of students who feel that there's a lot of student athletes especially who really want the turf and feel like there was a vote already and there's no reason for it to be delayed. And at the same time, there's a lot of students on the other side who are saying, you know, we feel that there can't be these forever chemicals in our town, and there's no way that this can just go on without consulting us. So I hate to come here and say nothing we could really uncover, but that just want to be really clear that that's what the students are thinking right now, and that it's really students on both ends of it.
Thank you.
So we spoke about the science symposium. It's this Wednesday, next Wednesday, the Somer Science Fair, which the Hastings Symposium is in preparation for. That's Saturday, June 6th. You can win a lot of awards there, and it's a really big competition, 800 students, so it's going to be a great time. I'll be there with all my friends. It's a whole day thing, so we'll make it through the day. Peer leadership. The program is continuing, so the 24 new peer leaders have been announced, that cohort, and it's really great to see these students, rising seniors, continuing the trend. orienting freshmen to the high school, providing spaces for students to interact with people who they've never met before, and really acting as a role model for all Hastings students. And I touched on it briefly, but we have had interviews with sophomores about the junior seat for student liaison for the 2026-2027 and the senior seat for the 2027-28 school year. It was really intense, not intense, it was competitive. We really appreciate all the interest, and thanks to all the student union representatives who were there helping Ella and I out with our decision. That's Joe Drake, Will Tentoff, Siri Rosenberg, Alyssa, I forget her last name. She's the freshman Schlachter, freshman president, and Emmy Taylor. So really competitive interview process. We had a lot of great candidates, and at the end, there was one who really shone out. Her name is Siri Lambert. She's involved with volleyball, the band, the theater, and we think that she really wants to take her involvement with the school community to the next level, and she's going to be great speaking at the board next year.
Yeah.
Right on.
Exciting.
Thank you.
I'd just like to shine a little recognition on Joaquin for being one of the 24 PLs for next year.
Oh, nice. There you go.
Congratulations to him. And so my events are a lot more senior focused around this time. So for starters, seniors have been out on internships. This started last week. And so we complete an assignment from our internship coordinator each week. So we still are keeping on top of that. And it generally gives a review of what we've done this week, what have we learned, what will we apply this to, and how have we grown. And for me personally, I have been going into my internship for maybe like 7 hours last week. So that was definitely harder when you're like trying to manage your own time and you have to be more responsible and accountable in that sense. But it's truly been an eye-opening experience where I'm able to communicate with people of all ages, and I'm also able to see like a hospital setting in a new view. So a lot of sitting in on people's blood work and also working in a lab and learning all the computers. So that's really cool. But it's also really interesting to hear about your friends' internships. So I know one of my friends actually was taking their own like research. So they were searching up voter turnout versus the distance between the nearest voter voting location. So that's very interesting, and I believe he is working with David Imamura in our own legislature. Oh, yeah. So that's very cool to hear. Another thing is next Thursday is our senior trip to the Yankees game, and that's very exciting.
Were they playing? Do you know?
I believe Cleveland is said? Yes, Cleveland Guardians.
I don't know.
So it's going to be an interesting experience. I've never been to a Yankees game before, and my friends are softball players and diehard Yankees fans. So I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit intense and a lot of yelling at the fields, but it's going to be really fun to watch. We also have prom in less than 2 weeks, so certainly a little bit of a time crunch for those who are last-minute planners. And I personally just found my dress, and I still have to get alterations and corsage and everything. But despite the minor stresses, I know we are also excited and anticipating. And also the infamous Untermeyer Gardens, I can't wait to see those. Everyone says they're gorgeous, and it's good for pre-prom photos, as well as the Glen Island Harbor Club, where we'll be eating and dancing the night away. And then finally, I just have a few notes for upcoming events. This Saturday at 1 p.m. is the Jazz Picnic, which includes a performance from our very own jazz band, as well as a bake sale. So always good to support our music programs. Oh my goodness. And then we also have next Thursday is the Hastings Elementary School Spring Concert at 6 and the Hillside Night of Arts at 5:15. So always important to support the young ones.
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, thank you. Welcome. Thank you both. Thank you. Moving on, I just want to note, we're going to move personnel up because we're welcoming a new middle school social studies teacher, Matthew Kiernan, who joined us this evening. So I just wanted to move that vote up. So it should, if you refresh the agenda, it should show up correctly under number 5. So I'll just do the normal roll call here. Are there any questions or comments regarding our personnel as a consent agenda? No? Is there a motion to approve our personnel as a consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, welcome.
So Matthew, you showed up here for the vote and you brought your family, your mom, a retired teacher who you told us about in the interview, your fiance, I'm not sure what's greater, a job here or you're getting married, but you know, we believe in humor. You are taking the seat of a highly regarded veteran, Barbara Richmond, going into the middle school with a great new principal coming in, but you won the race, we're glad you're here, and this is atypical for an incoming teacher to show up, but chase those science department teachers because they are excellent, and you can bring some of that over to social studies, please. Thank you. And Greg Smith just heard what I said, who's the department chair. But thank you for being here. Rare and exciting. Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, moving on to a cabinet update. I'm sorry, I skipped that. So the superintendent report. Dr. Kersey.
Right, so I guess I was speaking too much, so the good board president said we'll move on. So tonight after me, Melissa Szymanski will present a cabinet update with some key items. I'm going with a verbal update today, not the pictures and other images. Those will be in the Hastings Happenings this Friday. But first, let me do a giant thank you to everybody in Hastings for the budget outcome. The results from a participatory standpoint are remarkable. 77% passage, over 1,400 people showed up. That was down, but it was down everywhere. But here's the reason we should applaud. 1,400 voters here, 349 in Dobbs Ferry. Ardsley, in a highly contested election, 1,100. Last year there were 300. So even in a highly contested election, we out-participated our neighbor. And those are my buddies, those supers. They don't mind me saying what I'm saying. Irvington, 487. And this example is fascinating. White Plains, we had more voters come out than White Plains.
Wow.
We had 1,400 come out, they had 919.
We have a very engaged community.
So hats off Hastings for showing up on what matters. Capital Bond, Bond Capital 3, Proposition 3, sent out a letter coordinated with the board on the 22nd indicating that while still reviewing the legal challenge to the particular surface for the Burke estate, there is so much else there that matters that we need to get moving on that. And my letter laid that out in quite great detail, about 8 or 9, 10 different items that need attention, that if we don't start now, while we're still sorting out what that surface will be, we do a disservice to the large number of people who did vote for it and all of the things that are needing to happen there. So that letter's in the public record. Also, Drew Wendell continues to develop and has just sent to me a great detailed plan on where we'll be providing all of the fall athletics. He's now lining up the practice spaces and the game spaces. Joaquin's been a great member of the team all the way. Yes, a soccer player, but more concerned about all sports. So Joaquin has been asking me to make sure I keep reminding Mr. Wendell to work on this. He's submitted to me a 6-page in size font 10 detailed plan. So working in great detail, we'll put that into the record. It's a draft, but he's getting very close. If he's secured Reynolds Field, Lower Reynolds Field, Hillside, Zinsser Park, Tibbetts Park, Route 9 Field, House of Sports, and other locations to be determined. Mercy College is in the mix, Masters, Hackley, Andrus, and the Westchester Turf and Tennis, just we're providing space. We are able to provide for some of the costs. We'll be providing lights full round on Reynolds. That is all covered largely within the bond. Transportation when needed, field paints necessary, staffing for the night games, because there will be night games, and then custodian coverage. That's all can be picked up within the bond costs. So very detailed work going on there. Capital Bond 2, that's a major set of work to bring us vital more classroom space within the Farragut complex. Working very actively with the construction managers on the whole team. When we have more detail, we'll bring a very robust update and presentation to the board. We should have one before we go home for the summer. There will be an impact next year on classrooms. We're sorting out how many and when. So the construction managers are working in great detail on the schematics of that, for that entire Farragut complex, what might be affected, and then also which classrooms in specific, and working with the building administrators in the middle school and high school on how to schedule so that there is not a negative impact on teaching and learning next year. We anticipate as of January of next year, construction will start, but we hope again by the end of this year, if not the organizational meeting in July, to provide you as the board and thus the village an update on that. But there's a lot of intensive work underway these several weeks on that. It's the final month. Our student board liaisons gave us the great flavor and feel for that, both the challenging issues, as Joaquin spoke to some of the questions regarding facility renovations, the fields and all the rest, and then Ella really in great senior style celebrating what matters. We saw earlier today the incredible talents of our students. Those were cold calls to two students I know, asking them to speak to the wonders of our faculty, and that transcends through. So it's a time to celebrate. And yes, we've got issues, yes, we got problems, but it's a time to celebrate, and thank you, Ella, for framing that so beautifully. My fifth point, if you're keeping track, is that once a month I go sit with about 15 superintendents from around the region. We sit with a gentleman named Richard Lemons out of Yale University and other places. Our reading for tomorrow is by a gentleman named Parker Palmer. He wrote it at the turn of the century, and I read so much history, I thought, wow, we're reading something from 1900. But no, it's actually from 2000. But the simple point of a very complex reading is leaders need to think about the heart. They need to think about going to the light, not the shade, not the dark. And some people say to me, I'm about to get personal, Bill, you're always so positive. Dr. McCursey, you're always so positive. I'm the first in line for knowing we got challenges and problems. But I owe it to the students here, the others there. I'm going to keep leading with the light and say you got to dig deep on the problems and the challenges, we got to go there, but you got to lead with the light because otherwise we're in a quagmire. And our Hastings students and residents don't deserve a quagmire. Challenge, push, probe, but we got to get to the light. And that was a big takeaway for me. Trying to go to the heart. First place I stopped was an institution that valued the head, the heart, and the hand. So I'm always trying to bring that together. Lastly, and I'll do more detail for the board on this, summer work is upon us. And thanks to the new leadership coming in, we've got real veteran leaders joining us. And all three of them, Jen, Lena, and Karina, you know I like first names, said, hey, what are we going to do in the beginning of the summer? How are you going to get us busy? So I thought, wow, what an idea. So on July 9, I'm bringing the leadership team together for several hours to say by the end of this summer, we need to have a refined draft strategic plan that takes the headlines of the portrait, connects that to 3 goals, simple, from each of the 3 buildings and special ed that will link together and begin to say for the board when we hit August going into September, let's then review this with ourselves and then the village and others. Remember that high participation rate I celebrated in the beginning. But so we can have some real clarity on where we're going and where we're headed, so by next year when we hit a difficult budget season, we can have a better way to prioritize on what's happening. So witness Matthew being here tonight as a teacher, witness those 3 new leaders coming in. We have great energy here, great spirit, and we're trying to kind of build on that and listen to those leaders who say, elsewhere, the super brought me together beginning of this summer, do that here, please. So we'll be doing that, and we'll be back to you. So that's a verbal update on where we are. Hopefully it's helpful and not too wordy.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. McCursey. Any questions or comments from trustees? No? We're going to move on to an update from Assistant Superintendent Szymanski of the Curriculum and Instruction, an important technology update, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So the Technology Committee has been hard at work over the course of the year, and we had our final session of the school year about a week or so ago. And I have a couple of updates on behalf of that committee. So first, last week, the New York State Education Department approved the Hastings on Hudson Instructional Technology Plan, which we designed together. That was created by the committee. The plan includes the 3 goals that I've mentioned previously that are now finalized and approved. The first one is to develop and sustain a professional learning culture in which all educators can select, apply, and reflect on technology tools that purposefully and effectively improve student learning. The second goal explore the role of AI while prioritizing a commitment to authentic learning and academic integrity. And then the third goal, strengthen collaboration between home and school by providing guidance to students and families on healthy device usage habits and strategies to mitigate device dependency. So the instructional technology plan in its entirety is posted. That's one of the state requirements. It's posted to the website under the technology tab. I also linked it in board docs so that it's at everyone's fingertips. You'll notice that we did not include in the instructional technology plan the action steps that allows us to keep them localized and in play. And so once I was coached that once you start filling in the action steps, you have to fill it out through its entirety. And the committee wanted to make sure that they were doing due diligence to not rush that we wanted to get very minute on what we were doing. So we did hustle our last meeting and we finished that up for next year. At our next Board of Education meeting, I will be presenting the action steps. So you'll see all of the action steps associated with those 3 goals, tied to each of those 3 goals. They're currently under final review by members of our faculty, our administrators, and also members of our committee are taking a last look. We've gotten some very important feedback from students, which is the student feedback is really important, and we do have student members sitting on that committee. So some adjustments are being made as we speak to that. And again, at our June 2nd meeting, I will be sharing that publicly. Finally, we've completed surveys of all families in the district, and that happened last year and the beginning of this year. And separately, last week, the middle school faculty was surveyed. And that's because the community surveys indicated the bulk of the concern was at the middle school. And that's not unfamiliar. We've been talking about that, so not a surprise. But to be able to effectively make changes and ensure that we're not creating new problems, we had to understand what the impact would be, both to students and to the educators in facilitating their instruction, their homework, et cetera. So we did get faculty results. Dan Waldeck and Lauren Iorio made the very wise decision to administer that faculty survey during a faculty meeting, so everyone was present and time was built in. So we had an excellent response rate. We had very, very thoughtful feedback from the faculty. And what we're seeing in some key areas is a lot of alignment in areas of concerns that the families have and areas of concerns that the faculty has. So the key things that we are zooming in right now on are whether or not we continue with the one-to-one devices next year. And the second is around homework using digital means. And so we're looking at those 2 things very closely. And the first step that we will be taking is a plan to collect all of the one-to-one Chromebooks at the end of this school year for middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and not deploy in 5th. That allows us to evaluate the use, level set, and determine the most effective model. It also serves a very strong purpose in ensuring that families at home hear that we are listening, that devices coming home have been a source of great concern. So to be able to move on that quickly, we're doing that now before the summer so those devices aren't in the homes over the summer. We really want to honor that feedback and take it very seriously. So that is in motion. There is a temporary plan that's been put into place with dates. We've already been working with our Lyric managed IT team to coordinate that. It is a huge undertaking. It is many, many Chromebooks. We want to make sure that teachers are informed so that if they had instruction plan that incorporated the use of the devices, that we're not suddenly ripping things away while someone's in the middle of a research project, right? So there's a level of coordination that's been happening around that. And we're very excited about continuing to take all of the feedback to heart and making concrete action steps. We're looking at maybe moving away from the one-to-one to mobile carts. However, we want to make sure that A, there are enough devices, and B, there are some intersections that have to do with insurance even, that families have bought insurance plan on one-to-one devices. what impact does that have on us budgetarily in terms of financial redeployment if we're collecting certain things. So we're working on this. We've taken the feedback quite seriously, and what we've found through the surveys is that there is alignment. So we are in motion, more on June 2nd.
That's great.
And I want to thank Melissa for combining inquiry with action, because we know a lot, and sometimes we know enough to get moving. I want to also stress, Lena Canavo is actively in these conversations. She's the incoming principal. She's busy with a 1,600 student high school. Every question we have here, they have there.
Yeah.
I live in Greenwich. I'm a parent in Greenwich. Every question we have here, they have there. So Lena's fully supportive. We don't want to kind of jam. Lena is a brand new leader, but she knows what that action list is. She appreciates taking some of those steps, and she appreciates Dan and Lauren working well on that. But if anyone in the room is worried about, you got a new leader, and it's all going to change, no. She's committed to the continuity, supporting this, and it really helps that you as a board have hired a veteran into that seat. Similarly with Jen Holden in the seat for special ed, real veteran. The things we're seeing, she's seeing elsewhere. So it really helps us stay up to speed. And I think you'd all agree, final comment, this is one of our biggest issues, really, to wrap our arms around, be busy with, and sort out with inquiry and action, if that's helpful.
Yeah, and I think reclaiming the Chromebooks this summer is a great first step so that they're not home and out and about. So thank you for hearing that concern.
Yeah, I agree. Just echoing Catherine. I know when we talked last, and I know maybe Maureen Carabella could speak better to this. I know we had talked about some of the logistical hurdles around potentially moving to that cart system. I'm just curious, and I think it's fantastic that we're exploring that. But where does this shift come from, and why are we kind of starting to look into that as a serious solution now? And for the record, I'm all for it.
I think that there have been themes, and again, I'll present some of these themes, that are coming through around access to devices and how students are working with them. And part of that has to do with when eyes are not on a screen and there's coaching going on one part of the room and students have a device on the other side of the room. It's all interrelated. I think the main concern around the one-to-one devices was around the digital homework, toting around, going back between home and school. So I think that what we're concurrently looking at is what impact would it have to move to a cart-based model, and is maybe the better solution to move away from the digital homework model unless there is specifically a research-based assignment. The teachers gave extremely thoughtful feedback in the survey. And one of the things we need to keep our eye on if we do move away from the one-to-one is there are a number of students in our district who require the use of a device. And they were very concerned about students having access, perceptions, potential stigmas around who has a one-to-one, who doesn't get a one-to-one. And there was that. And so what we want to do is we want to reset, and some of the discussions we're having is around, do we move to the cart-based model because that helps to solve the problems that we're hearing around how devices are being used, when devices are being used, and devices going home and then having challenges around that. And if that's the problem we're trying to solve, perhaps the digital homework elimination is the thing to do, and then putting a process into place whereby if there's an exception and someone needs to give a digital assignment, one of the members of our tech committee suggested it might be a great idea to have people then log that, to have a thought around a double. It would stop us to just rethink, is this really in alignment with our technology goal, purposefully and effectively improving student learning to be using the device or not?
That's a great point.
Just a double check on, wait a minute, do I really need this to go home as a digital assignment? Sometimes the answer is yes, if students have to do some research, right? And I want to remind us too, there are New York State standards, computer science and digital fluency standards, and we would be putting our students at a huge disadvantage to eliminate device use. So we're not looking to go in that direction. We're just looking to support a better way to ensure that devices are being used for purposefully and effectively elevating learning for students, not a substitution. So, to be continued, but at the very least, the collection is addressing that home concern for the summer.
Excellent. That's great, Melissa. Thank you.
Yeah, and especially, I think Dr. McCursey touched on it, these topics, whether it's devices or screen time, or AI, academic rigor, they're so fundamental and foregrounded, but, you know, there's not much guidance from New York State, right? We are kind of on our own. So I want to thank you for the process, the depth of process that you've undertaken, the breadth of it. It's really important because we are a little bit on our own, and it's a good thing, but it's a lot of work, and it's been very productive in my eyes. So thank you.
More to come, and thank you to the committee.
Okay. And next DOE
board
meeting.
meeting.
Okay.
Next week.
Oh, it is next week, actually.
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
Melissa, I really very much appreciate hearing your presentation, because I think I had in my mind that I thought, we all thought, or many of us thought, that next year we were going to have to bring up that we need to start looking at technology, and I feel like you've just already things are moving along and in a good direction, and it's a relief to hear that we're undertaking. I know there's so much going on, but this is very appreciate that.
Thank you. And again, as we're moving forward with the K-12 Math Committee, for example, there may be some decisions around resources. I'm just picking one content area as an example that allows us to move more away from technology and have less of the digital component, and then that has an impact on the extent to which a one-to-one is needed.
Right.
So it's all of it's tied.
Yeah.
And the thing is I think the quick fix that I know some people hope for is just reduce the use, eliminate. It has such a domino effect on many things, and so we're being thoughtful. We are absolutely taking action on things, but we're being thoughtful because if that's the resource right now for teaching, and we don't have access, students don't have access to a device to be able to access the content, that's a new problem now.
Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Moving on, we're going to open up for public comment. I believe the district clerk has a list, yeah? And please observe the 3-minute rule. Thank you.
Mark Samet.
Good evening.
Good evening. So on News 12 a couple of weeks ago, Dr. McCursey said the proposed artificial turf will be bringing no added PFAS into the situation. With all due respect, that's a preposterous claim. New York State's 2023 ambient water quality guidance value for PFOS is 2.7 ppt. The EPA's legally enforceable drinking water limit is 4 ppt. New York State DEC's maximum contaminant level is 10 ppt. Field Turf's own testing company found 590 ppt. Beyond how much added PFAS the turf would bring, your final bid specifications, in keeping with your zero PFAS promise to the community, have a PFAS prohibition. You might want to look at your code of conduct. 43 instances of prohibited student conduct are listed. If you're saying prohibited now means not adding to the overall level, if a graduating senior removes contraband from their locker and an incoming freshman brings in an equal amount, by your own logic, there will have been no conduct violation. This is the Orwellian world into which we have been delivered. Finally, the upset over the fields, which on merely warm days spike to dangerously hot surface temperatures, which are challenged with issues of drainage, migrating cork, and migrating plastic, will be dwarfed by the regret of parents years from now wondering if thyroid issues, cancers, developmental and reproductive toxicity issues, immune dysregulation, lower extremity non-contact injuries, and other maladies visited upon their families, should they arise, could have been prevented. Will the district approve a longitudinal study to follow these students? I think you will not. These are serious issues. The board and district owe it to the community to pause the demolition of Burke and engage with the community in an open, plain language discussion.
Thank you. Good evening. You can take the mic out, yeah.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Baker. I'm the parent of 2 kids in the district. One is in 4th grade, going into 5th. I feel much better after listening to you talk, Melissa. Thank you. I was ready to homeschool. And my youngest is going into 2nd. I am a movement educator and a parent in this district. I already covered that. I am here to talk about the Chromebooks. I'd also love to talk about smartboards and posture and how movement works and nervous systems, how they develop, but we only have so much time and people aren't here for a full class. So I'll read my story, which is I fell in love with being on computers at 14 years old on Long Island. I never had them in school. That love became a 20-year career designing digital products and working in tech. And it also became something else, a slow accumulation of damage I didn't have language for until I couldn't ignore it anymore. Chronic compensation patterns in my spine, a vestibular system that had been quietly reorganizing itself around a screen for decades, an inability to stop, not just the checking, the scrolling, the pulling back to the screen, but a nervous system that had lost its ability to be still, to orient without a screen to anchor to. I had to leave the industry to understand what it had cost me physically. That investigation led me to retrain as a movement educator, and what I've learned since is that the body keeps an exact record. I've worked my way backwards from my feet up through my body, releasing everything that technology did to me, specifically adding iPhones and laptop use into the mix. Children's bodies are keeping a score right now in classrooms across every school in the country pretty much. Every day, the human body develops from the ground up. Before Chromebooks, a child in a classroom was constantly moving in ways we didn't think to value. Looking up at a board, down at a textbook, across the room at a teacher, turning pages, shifting in a seat, tracking a moving hand. That constant near-far cycling of the visual system, that casual reorientation in space, was inadvertently doing exactly what a developing nervous system needs. Varied input, changing demands, the kind of environmental richness that builds the vestibular system. Calibrates proprioception and establishes the neuromuscular patterns children carry into adulthood. We didn't know we had something worth protecting until we replaced it. When children sit for hours at a Chromebook, several things happen simultaneously. The hips tighten and the back chain stops firing neurologically. The spine loses the load variation it needs to develop correctly and finds new ways to load. The visual system, which is in healthy development cycles constantly between near and far distances, gets locked onto a screen 18 inches away and loses much of its peripheral vision. The nervous system, which is still actively organizing during this years, receives a very narrow and repetitive movement diet at exactly the window when variety matters most. The gait pattern children develop, how they load their feet, how they transfer weight, how their hips and spine coordinate during walking, are being established right now. Sustained sitting at screens reorganizes those patterns. We are seeing children who cannot fully extend their hips when they walk, whose feet don't splay naturally, whose bodies have learned to brace rather than flow. These aren't injuries, they're adaptations to an environment that asks children to be still and stare at a screen for hours at a time. And adaptations made during development are significantly harder to reverse than those made in adulthood.
Basically, I just ask you the 3-minute rule.
Oh.
If you can
Oh, sorry, I had one last paragraph.
Okay, thank
I
you.
didn't time it. I
No, it's
should've.
okay.
Okay. I started at a desktop computer at 14 years old. I didn't know what it was costing me until I was in my 40s doing the slow work of unwinding decades of damage. Our students may not get the chance I've had because what happens in a developing nervous system doesn't just leave a record, it becomes the system. Please choose creating a stable nervous system for our developing children over Chromebooks and unnecessary technology in classrooms. Thanks for the extra time.
Thank you, of course. Thank you. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. I have spoken a few times and with a lot of you one-on-one and asides. I really appreciate it. I'm here to speak on technology and Chromebooks. I'm very happy to have the update from you. I speak regularly with the members of the technology committee that are the parent representatives. I also get texts and calls every time Chromebooks come up in the district, conversation in our local town hall, which is Facebook, because I have tended to put myself in the room every chance I can where this is being discussed. And I do appreciate the depth and the response from advocacy efforts 2 years ago, this time of year, where the technology committee was created, the limits on Chromebooks at lunchtime, and a few other changes were made. I appreciate the rethinking of going ahead to collect the devices. I've been able to speak recently with the principal, Dan, the current interim principal, and participate in a roundtable with Melissa and Bill and FMS parents. So I do want to express my gratitude to the district for listening to the feedback and the concerns of parents. I think we're eagerly awaiting the action steps. And I wanted to come to request that the board do a technology forum for the parents, because I know that a goal, and from what I gather, I have synthesized into a very long document that I'm going to send you, all of the documents and records and concerns. It's from a lot of different sources. Into an amalgamation that is more of like a policy brief of just what is a parent position. It's not all my position personally, and I wouldn't say it's extreme enough for maybe some voices in the mix as well. It more is looking at a systems administration, the relationship with BOCES, our look at AI, and how you're communicating to parents and how you're engaging and allowing us to support our children's experiences. I more wanted to come tonight just more to say that's coming. It's a feedback process. I know you experience that as well. It takes time to gain consensus. I wanted to provide context on the cohort of kids that you have coming into FMS, because sometimes that could get a little bit lost of how this cohort is a little bit different, even from this current 5th grade class going into 6th. These are children that were in pre-K when COVID started, and they kind of missed that Zoom experience, but we saw what was happening with peers and devices. So I think there's been a pullback from devices amongst many majority of this cohort and younger. A really strong aversion to screen time at home at all. My son can tell me which of his friends in his class use screens by their posture. And this is just self-reported to me. He said, wow, their back is a little hunched over. I think they just played too many games. It's interesting. He can really see the difference in his peer group because it's so stark, of kids that have had maybe more access to screens than have not. And so you're going to go into middle school, and I think the concern is that you're going to be giving a lot more access to the internet without supervision than they're getting at home, and people largely are looking for some sort of screen time limits. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, good evening.
printer broke. I usually like to have the paper, but I'm on the phone today.
Okay.
But I support
use your
less technology in general. So these last few years have seen a nationwide backlash against the environmental movement. The Center for American Progress says that attacks on public land this last year are unprecedented. Approvals are going out to drill and mine at our national parks. Regulations are being rolled back. Environmental protection increasingly relies on states to act. Well, here in New York, a major way that the state is looking out for us and the environment is by banning new turf fields that use PFAS. I remember the many pro-turf signs around town that said no PFAS. They were impossible to miss. Now, I didn't see any asterisks on those signs, and my eyesight's pretty good. They just said no PFAS. The signs were simply parroting the promises made by the board. And yet the fields we're looking to install are among those that would be banned by New York State. That should be troubling news, no matter how people voted. The whole rhetoric around the vote felt dishonest. People saying this was the only chance we had. Last time turf was debated here, after its defeat, both sides got right to work and within months passed the most popular bond in Hastings history. A brilliant compromise was achieved. We studied the needs, constructed new additional fields, and left the entire community satisfied with the expanded opportunities for our athletes. I don't believe that this project expands our athletes' opportunities. The two fields most resilient to rain are the ones being sacrificed. There was no kind of study done to see how we could maximize our collective field time. I'm surprised by this. The school knows how to identify students who need some additional support and allocate resources their way. But when it comes to our fields, the ones that don't make the grade most frequently, the ones that remain saturated when other fields have drained, those are the very fields being ignored by this bond, left behind, despite having the greatest need. Meanwhile, our best performing fields, where people most often play outside of school hours, these are the ones to be taken away and replaced with a harder, less forgiving surface and treated with chemicals that don't break down, chemicals that cause increasing alarm among those studying their effects. I believe we can still get a field that leaves Hastings better off than how we found it. But this current plan will not do that, and the window is quickly closing to act. The voters wanted Hastings to remain at the leading edge of progress, whether that meant grass or whether that meant thinking outside the box and finding a turf field that has no PFAS. One solution popular among everybody was to add lights. The architects from Land Associates said lights on a grass field were impossible. Broadway's had lights since 1880. It's hard to fathom why in 2026 it was considered impossible to add lights to Burke and why that conversation was pushed aside. I hope the board will delay construction to better assess their options. There's no second chance once the cement has cured and the toxic plastic has been glued atop that. The current fields are ready to go for the fall season. Perhaps they'll never be as ready again as they are now to meet the promise we gave our athletes of playing on zero PFAS.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, good evening.
Hi, good evening. I'm Nancy Dodson, and I'm here as part of a parent group that is growing quickly called HOH Unplugged, and I want to share a vision of the school year that we desire for our children. I'm specifically speaking about FMS students. In our vision of HOH Unplugged, Hastings is part of a forward-thinking movement re-embracing pen and paper learning methods that we now know are so superior to screens. Chromebooks, in our vision, are collected at the end of the year. That was wonderful news, thank you, and not handed back out in September. Instead, students are issued textbooks, and these replace the Google Slides that they currently use to study from. In class, students open notebooks and learn the evidence-based skill of note-taking, which will serve them their whole lives. And classrooms become a place of focus and connection without the distraction of what their neighbor is watching. In our vision of Hastings, instead of carrying a Chromebook up and down Mount Hope Boulevard in your backpack, children carry actual paper books, such as novels. They are assigned more than the one book per year that my children are currently assigned in their ELA classes. In our vision of Hastings, students have so much to read that they have to read at home to keep up, and this puts some students out of their comfort zone. But rather than watching YouTube shorts or making videos on CapCut in 8th grade ELA, students read 6 or 8 or 10 books by the end of the year that are considered part of the canon of literature for young people. Educational technology takes a back seat in our vision, but technological education still exists. And so students can visit a computer room or lab for lessons like learning to type, practicing digital citizenship, identifying misinformation on the internet, or practicing for computerized test taking. Students who use technology as part of their IEPs would continue to have access, and students would be taught that everybody needs something different to learn and that we should respect what other students need. Digital equity could be maintained by a storage closet full of Chromebooks that we would have that could be signed out to a student for any length of time, including the whole year, if they don't have access at home. Hastings parents, as you can tell, have really had it with the Chromebook-based education. We are desperate to see our kids thinking deeply and engaging with work and with texts, and we are desperate to see them writing and reading again. This is especially true at the FMS level. And I do want to say my last 2 sentences. You know, this is not just something that I think should be a luxury. I hear a lot of parents say, well, for our tax money, we deserve better. It has nothing to do with whether we're a wealthy town or not. I think every student has the right to an education that's better than what their parents had, or at least as good as. And so I think Hastings could really be like a beacon to the whole state of New York. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening. I just grabbed the mic.
Thank you. Let me begin by stating that I am not opposed to a healthy and sustainable option for a better quality sports field, such as a better drainage system to support a natural and organically maintained grass field. What I am opposed to is the installation of a turf field that doesn't meet the requirements outlined in the approved bond vote. The product that has currently been contracted for installation contains PFAS and would be illegal to install in New York State under the carpet law only 6 months from now. I respectfully request that the board do further research and testing and deliver the quality of product appropriate long-term for the environment and for our children. We are all very aware of the dangers of these forever chemicals. I'm sure many of you have removed toxic nonstick pans and plastics from your kitchens. That being said, I would be curious to know how many parents would sign a release form outlining the known possible long-term health risks, giving up the ability to sue the school or manufacturer for any possible health issues later in life, such as respiratory problems from the dust created from the infill, before allowing their kids to play on a turf field such as currently planned for installation. Additionally, the runoff from the fields on the Burke will directly impact the rehabilitated wetlands below along Broadway. We have one large toxic plot of land at the riverfront that may not be cleaned up in my lifetime. Please do not add to this by creating another toxic site to be cleaned up in 8 or so years when its lifespan is over and the next group has to undo the mess that was left for them. Thank you for your time and consideration in this very important matter. This is not a subject where we can afford any buyer's remorse.
Thank you. Hey, good evening.
Thank you. This is nice to see. This is democracy in action. This is very, very heartening. I've been a Hastings resident for 14 years, and I want to say this is my first full board meeting, and I appreciate the work you do. I really do. Everyone here, you're listening, you're talking, students, it was beautiful. So I guess I'm wondering if you appreciate the community you have, because I voted for the field. I did. I voted for the field because of representations made by you, made by some of you personally to me. I also voted for the field based on those signs. And those signs, as that gentleman said, didn't have an asterisk. They didn't. So that was, in my mind, a lie. And I'm sorry, there's no reasonable way to say it. It was a lie, and that type of lie degrades this whole process. I'm asking you, Dr. McCursey said lead with light. I think it's a very, very important message, especially in this day and age. But you also have to lead with bravery. So if you were one of these board members who made that representation, who told people no PFAs, if you looked at those signs and you knew that people like me would vote based on that, I'm asking you not to just lead with light. I'm asking you to lead with bravery. Delay this, let the community vote again, let them vote on actual facts. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
What he said, make a motion.
Some trustee, please make a motion to discuss it.
We're done? Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to business items. Are there any questions or comments regarding business items 1 through 10? No? Just want to note that we are certifying the budget and trustee vote, just to note. Is there a motion to approve business items 1 through 10?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to placement services for CSE and CPSE. Are there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve our placement services for CSE and CPSE? Thank you.
So moved.
So moved.
Is there a second? Sorry, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye? Thank you. Moving on to minutes. These would have been from the May 5th meeting.
Can
Are
we
there-
please fix this door? I
I know,
cannot.
you need the alarm, I know.
Why is this, huh? Let's please do that. Okay.
Yeah, that's not-
Let's do it. I'll do it.
You'll do it.
I'll make it with you.
Well, the science, they just got that new printer, so maybe we could use it to make a
No,
nice.
that's for a poster, for a research poster.
Make a poster on the door.
For the door.
Yes.
They're like this big.
Well, obviously, we need to make it clear.
Yes. Moving on, minutes. This would be for May 5th. Are there any questions or comments? Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the May 5th meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye? Thank you. Policies, this would be first reads, most notably Policy 5300, which is the District Code of Conduct. Anybody from the Policy Committee want to, is there anything, any headlines, any salient things we need to know?
We've got a couple.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, well, this is a really important policy. Well, we have several policies. All of them are always important. But Policy 5300 goes over the District Code of Conduct. This is a policy we renewed last year, and we renew quite often. Some of the big takeaways from the enhancements on the Code of Conduct this year is a new chart around DASA and Code of Conduct, and kind of explaining a real clear escalation chart that shows the structure around how we're escalating Code of Conduct violations, also specifically around behavior for athletics, which we added some clarity, who can investigate Code of Conduct violations, specifically on the building level, and also codifying some red flag laws. So this was a really important, some additions, and we're excited from the Policy Committee to submit for first read. Additionally, we have Policy 2210, the annual organizational meeting for the Board of Ed. Not nearly as exciting as the Code of Conduct policy. And then lastly, 8635, which is around information and data privacy, extremely important. So those are all policies we're submitting for first read.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? I would just say thank you again, as always, Policy Committee members. It's a lot of yeoman's work. It's yo person's work. It's very, very necessary and difficult. So thank you for the time you put in.
And as my colleague shared, I think it was really noteworthy that the principals weighed in and gave us their thoughts and opinions, and that really formed the decisions that were made. So it was a powerful document to read and reflect on.
That's a great dimension to put, yeah. Thank you.
And to clarify the process, there's required public comment option on the code of conduct, and that's at the meeting, Melissa, the
Next
20,
week?
not at the 15th. So this is posted publicly for comment. Then on the 15th, you would have that, this is your second vote. And to reiterate what Catherine said, probably over about a 5-6 week period, the principals, counseling, special ed scrubbed this document. It's gone through several years of review. So this was the latest. Did fold in references to athletics quite clearly, co-curriculars and other areas. Fold in the red flag law. New York State is one of those states still that has, one of the leading states as it relates to the red flag. So that was very important.
Yeah, good point. And just in terms of what that means that it's up for public review, what does that look like for the public if they would like to comment on it next week?
It's on the 15th. There'd be a hearing at the beginning of the meeting, as we've done other public hearings, and they would just come and make comments. If there are enough of those that lead you to say we need to make some revisions, the board does, you have the opportunity to vote on this at the July meeting, with then a subsequent meeting in between.
Thank you.
Good question.
What is important is several years ago, the board was deliberating on the code of conduct in the fall, and in my mind, that was the ship's already sailing, and you're figuring out the rules while you're sailing, as opposed to getting it done now before school opens.
Yeah, it was a fundamental change you made. That's good. Good question. Thank you. Thank you all. Moving on to second public comment. Is anybody? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on to agenda review. This would be for next week, right? We're going to look at, on the 8th, we're going to look at the HEF grants. I think we're June 8th,
Is it the
right?
second? The second.
Second.
June 2nd?
June 2nd, next week.
Oh, literally next week, okay. Sorry, I'm misremembering. Next Tuesday. And then, so the main presentation is the HEF grants, I believe. This is anything else?
And then Melissa will provide
that's right,
more
technology
detail
update.
on technology.
Okay, that's for to come next week. Okay.
Actually, the link I'm going to is this next year's calendar I'm seeing?
That is 20, yes.
All right.
Oh, we're already into next year's calendar?
Yeah. So we're already a year ahead. It's great.
We've done it.
We're very proactive.
We're actually going to have a double graduation, that means. All the juniors are getting to graduate.
Graduating early.
On the 18th.
Budget taking.
Yeah, so that meeting is the technology report, and then HEF will be here to present their grants.
Okay. It's an interesting meeting. It's great. And then later one in June, we have retiree recognition,
Yeah, the
10-year
15th
recognition
is-
as well, yeah.
There'll be a reception at the start for retirement and tenure
Okay.
And then you would vote on tenure right away at the start of that meeting.
Okay.
And will that be our last meeting with Ella?
Yes.
I don't want to, stop making us cry. Come on.
Sorry, just
That's not
wanted to
okay.
get a sense of the timeline.
Ella, where are you going to college?
Penn State.
Oh, right on. Right on.
Fabulous.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on, board comments. Anybody?
Did we want to talk about the reorg meeting?
Oh,
Can everybody come?
We're talking July, what do we say, 14th?
14th, yeah.
That's a no.
It was from 12
Are
to
you?
2.
I could come remote.
Are you
What'd you say?
I
traveling?
could come
or-
virtually. I will be away that week.
Be away that week?
Yes. I'll be away the 4th through the 21st.
4th to the
Now we all know your personal schedule.
Would you like the address? of
And
it?
where will you be?
Well, we'll
So-
find out when he's virtual, right?
This is the BOE organizational.
4th through the
Yeah,
21st.
the day before.
I'm leaving on the 16th.
This is not the retreat.
No.
No, this is a required meeting by the state, that
I
every school board in
number
the
of
state
things you
has
have
to
to
have an
vote
org
on.
meeting by the 20th of July,
Can
Will
we
our
do
student
it
reps
in-
be there too?
Can we do it in June?
I don't think so.
Before people
Don't think
leave
so,
for
right?
summer
No.
stuff?
I believe the calendar has to flip to July 1, that we are
I think it
in
has
the
to
new
be in
year.
the new calendar year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
think so.
right.
Welcome to the
besides,
Empire
you can,
State.
Yeah, you can attend
Public
virtually.
meeting?
What'd you
Yes.
say?
Yeah, but sort of. I mean, yes, but
Yes,
not.
all
like-
the meetings are public.
Nobody.
Your vacation house.
I
Is
can't
anybody
make
else
it. I don't
not-
think I can make it at all that day, but I'll try to
Okay.
be remote. I'll
So
be
how-
in the cities.
How
I'll
many
try
do
to
you
be
have,
remote.
Alex?
We're 5 plus 1. So there's 6 of us.
I could join
We have
virtually.
quorum, so, okay.
Yeah, it is a very important meeting because you're voting on a lot of administrative
Contracts.
appointments and also your officers. And there's the swearing in also of
The
two
electeds.
people.
I see why people are not showing up for that meeting.
Yeah, she should swear me in another time or something. I can
Okay.
try, it's just, I'm in the city all day with patients, and I can't get here in the middle of the day.
Melissa D can swear in at other times, but you just want to make sure you have the quorum for some important decisions.
We'll have quorum, but we'll coordinate.
And then later in August, we'll have the board retreat where we
Yes.
can work on the board goals and all those different tasks. Fantastic.
Yes.
Oh, just really.
Okay. Any other board comments?
I wanted to say that I was a bit inspired by the Hastings Unplugged sort of list of hopes and dreams, specifically by the return to reading novels, please. Because I've had conversations with ELA teachers who have said things like, kids just don't read anymore, and kids, if they're reading graphic novels, it's fine. At least they're reading. And I think that's a sin. Please, Melissa.
Well, I'm quite sure we're reading novels. In terms of how many we're reading, I will need to go back and do some homework on that. But there is a large repertoire happening in ELA of lots of different types of genres and text types. So I will do some homework on that. However, the point is well taken. The digital reading is different from holding a book and reading, and I think that's where we're all shaking our heads. Yes,
I think that there are novels being read more in the high school, less and less in the middle school. So as you're digging, please sit in on some middle school.
But I can say that my middle schoolers are having a fantastic time reading different plays in their English class right now.
Okay.
Of Mice and Men, I don't know, and the courtroom scenes, I'm hearing all about them. But to your point is, it's always good, it's important to read more.
Yes, please.
Volume is important.
And classics.
But who defines classics?
Well,
I know it's,
I mean,
I know, like global classics or, anyhow.
I remember
there was a term that she used.
Canons of literature.
Yeah, like canons of young literature. Or there was a specific.
But typically, classics are
Books
white.
that are banned, we should be reading.
But this is where we'd like to, I mean, I think the English teachers probably have lots of thoughts too that would be important to be informed by. Right.
What?
We want to hear from the English teachers too about like their vision and hopes
Yes.
and dreams, because I'm sure they are
Maybe they
deep love
want to
of
come
reading.
and share their vision here.
Can I?
Sure, they'd love
Sure.
Yeah. Let's go, Joaquin.
Mr. Abrams has a class building a better bookshelf. I'm not sure if you're all aware. And that
It's a class called that?
Yes,
Building
building a better bookshelf.
elective.
It is all about reading every day, every night, going home and, putting your time in. And that's all the class is, and it's really lovely. And I think the ELA, him especially, and, we do a lot of reading in the high school. I wouldn't be able to speak to the middle school. Graphic novel, we read a great graphic novel, Persepolis, about the Islamic Revolution.
I love that one.
But yeah, I think Ella said she doesn't read. But that's what's going on in the high school right now.
What happened? Ella said you don't
Ella
read?
said she, offhanded comment, she's like, I don't really read books anymore.
I read more.
Good luck at Penn State, Ella.
Okay.
You're reading primary source document.
Don't call out Ella.
I mean, in the high school, the use of literature is pretty robust, and the English department is really connecting across teachers to study new materials, get into new materials. For example, Sarah Stern is excited about working with Mr. Abrams and others about how to look at whole kind of new types of literature, and she's once you get into the questions of the canon, I'm a Chicago alum, so that gets into a lot of fascinating discussions. But I think there's a lot of work by the high school English department. I know it's grade 6 through 12 as a department, but we can look at that and talk about that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Exciting.
Good topic. Any other comments?
exciting.
UW.
I don't know if we talked about this at the last board meeting, because I think the HASP graduation was on the 3rd, but I just want to say I had the pleasure of attending the HASP graduation.
Thank you, by the way.
And did we talk about that last meeting? Well, I just want to say how incredible it was to see those 4 young people graduate and learn more about the program and what those kids did to get through. It just seems like such an incredible program, and I was so thoroughly impressed just in this hour and a half presentation that I was there. It was really just wonderful to see, and I just wanted to say how in awe I am with that program and congratulate all the students who graduated from HASP this year.
That's very kind.
I do think the HASP graduation is one of the high points.
Oh my God, it was wonderful. I only cried twice.
In the district.
I know, it's always a crying thing.
Is there any push to grow this program so that we have more than 4 graduates?
I think Maureen could probably speak to that. It depends a lot on the year. I think last year there were 11.
No, there were only 3.
It doesn't really depend. It depends on the
Graduates.
recommendation. Like it just.
2 years ago?
I've been speaking about this.
Maybe 2 years ago.
Over the past couple of years, my hope that such a personalized,
Reaches more students.
such a personalized experience that is really uplifting for many students would be bigger. And it would also be a better ratio of staff to student in terms of finances, but that is neither here nor there really. It's also a little isolating for a child to be in a small class, and I know firsthand that kids don't want to be in a group of 4. They want to at least feel like you become marginalized when you're in such a small group. But that being said, we don't want to risk personalization. However, 4 is small. And I would really love to see a minimum number of students, like 10 per year or something like that. I know it's based on recommendation from the guidance counselors, but many parents do not know that this program exists.
I wonder if the new director of belonging could have a role in thinking through and expanding and reflecting on the program, because it really is all about student belonging.
It's a good idea.
I mean, I think a key step is with both Mr. Sullivan and Mr. Clayman, relatively new thoughts were to sort of see how it's going this year and then look at going into the future, what might be some updates, modifications. The director of belonging, that's another great idea to connect with that. They are cautious not to keep it solely grade isolated. So remember that the back of the room was packed with the other HASP students. So they are very thoughtful about, yes, they're the 4 graduating, but they are part of that larger group. And so this was my 5th graduation to listen, and at each of the talks, they're thanking their other HASP students. So they do work hard to make it, in a sense, a whole HASP experience. Yes, they're different grades, but to have it, quote unquote, not just the 4
But
or
when
the 3.
when they're in their actual academic ELA and social studies classes, they're only with their grade level peers.
And then you get in the balancing act of the personalization and what's meaningful at that teaching and learning moment. So these are good questions. I think we want to sort of, with Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Clayman, I think the idea of that belonging position, look at what else may happen.
I would love to learn as a board and hear a public presentation about the program, and I think that would be important. Because then the community would also hear that presentation hopefully as well.
Good idea. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I have just 2 things. One, I was wondering, Bill, the letter that you wrote regarding Prop 3, I know the village was going to send that out to the larger, they did?
Yeah,
I think they did.
Okay, because I'm continuing to hear some talking points today in public comment and emails that the board is receiving that you addressed, but it's not kind of resonating. So I'm glad to hear that the village sent it out. The second one, Melissa, I'm sorry, to add to your plate. I was wondering, since we're at the end of the school year, if we can revisit the student perception survey and hear the panorama survey and hear how students perceive this year. If not, the next board meeting, the meeting after that.
It's on the list in terms of when we're presenting it and who's presenting it, but it's coming up soon. We typically loop it into state of the districts, but I think we're figuring out if it makes more sense to pair it with one thing or the other, but it is coming.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah, so what Melissa's speaking to, you have 3 end-of-year reports coming to you. One is what we're calling future steps. Lori Alfiero will do that in terms of where students are going after they leave here, and it'll be even a more robust. She's really building it out to be a more robust report. She's pegged to do that at that July 14th meeting, if that's when it is. That added time to gather makes sense. Your end of the year report, because of parts of that is state data, and that we often don't get fully until midsummer or so that's why we're looking to do that in August. In the past, Panorama's been part of that. What Melissa's speaking to is maybe splitting that up and doing that a little bit differently. Lori's deep in the Panorama data, so maybe there's some thought to have a future steps, 1, Panorama 2, and then later on the state of the district, if you will, which would have the Panorama separate, if that makes sense. So we're trying to sort it all out, but it's all coming at you.
Okay.
All right?
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I wanted to welcome Jody and Teresa back and congratulate them on their win. It's great to have you both back.
That's very nice.
They haven't left yet.
They haven't left yet, but they're back. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Marie.
It's good to be back. Good to be here.
Good to be back. Anyone else? No? Is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks, Patrick.
Marquino, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ella, you've never been to a Yankees game? Are you?